Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I am back with, finally, my mid-December wrap-up where I talk about the first half of the books I read in the month of December and participating in the 25 Days of Manga challenge. So this is continuing my reading volume 1's thing. In November, I did not read 30 manga in 30 days, but I still had a bunch here, so I continued reading. Shay from Shay Geeks Out had a new challenge that was to read 25 days of manga, like the 25 days of Christmas. And like I said, I still had stuff here, so I was like, let's go for it. But I did not only read manga this month, so there will be other things. The manga that I did read is, still mostly volume 1s, with some notable exceptions that I will be talking about in this video. I wanted to say that I mentioned the manga bracket thing, the idea that I got from Daniel Green and Gavin, how to defeat your Gavin. Yeah, not doing a whole elaborate video on that. I will probably do a YouTube short because it's gonna be pretty quick. But if you would like a dedicated video where I go through the bracket, then let me know. Yeah, this is coming because I finally rated all of my December reads. Ratings were important to deciding the brackets of volume 1s to pick out which series of manga I will be focusing on first, to be perfectly honest. So, all of that being said, let's talk about the first book, because I read 21 books in the month of December. Will there be an annual stats video? We'll see what happens, guys. If you're okay with it coming in February, raise your hand in the comments. But yeah, so the first book I finished in the month of December was not a manga. The Conductors by Nicole Glover. I've been wanting to read this for a long time, ever since I first heard the synopsis, probably from Jesse at Bow Ties and Books. They've talked about this book, and actually they reminded me when they were like, this is an underhyped book. What happened? Nobody's talking about this anymore. And I was like, I did want to read this. I actually picked this up to read in October, but didn't get to it, so I still had it. I was still interested, and so I did. This, I believe, is a debut novel, but yes, by Nicole Glover. But it is a historical fiction slash, I guess, sort of paranormal fantasy. I enjoyed this. So my concentration was all over. I actually did start this in October. I just finished it at the beginning of December. So it took me that long, but I enjoyed that. Honestly, I'm going to say this. It gave me cozy mystery vibes. It was very comforting, and I feel very weird saying that about a book that was set during the Jim Crow era. The United States Civil War had just happened, and there are still people who are slaves, and it's talked about people who are very recently freed, and segregation and racism at its most obvious and violent is happening on the page here, but I still felt very comforted by reading this, so take from that what you will. The Conductors we're following, please, character names. Hetty and her husband Benji, who were former conductors on the Underground Railroad. And now they solve mysteries and crimes for their fellow Black people. And one of their friends, or a friend of a friend, or a friend's husband, I'll get to the characterization part in a second, winds up being found dead with this very well known magical mark on his body. I did mention there's some magic in this. Both Benji and Hetty have some sort of magical abilities. And so they go about trying to solve this man's murder. There's like a little bit of romance in this. It's very light and very slow burn and very cute. It's a lot of interpersonal relationship things, which I liked. However, I feel like the characters, other than Hetty and Benji, all of their friends, of which there are a lot thrown at you, get kind of confusing, or they did for me anyway. I needed a little something more to differentiate them, especially the husbands, because this is all from Hetty's point of view. So all of her girlfriends, this time in history I don't really come across very often in fiction, and not this type of fiction, not a one with a fantastical and mystery element. There are, the trigger warnings for all things related to slavery and the trauma that comes from all of that. These things are on the page and talked about and thought about as these people are trying to go on with their lives, even though they're living in Philadelphia, a place where they are free men, they are still black people who are treated as lesser than. Colorism also plays a part in this. And then the magic systems, which I'm disappointed we didn't get as much detail from or about, but I still thoroughly enjoyed. I give this a 3.5 stars. But like I was saying earlier, I feel like part of my being so super busy and all over the place hindered me from probably enjoying it as much as I did. This still, like I said, felt like a cozy mystery, and it was still comforting. I still liked it, and I still want to read the next one. The next one I want to talk about is a volume 1 in a manga that is very popular right now, Sweat and Soap. Sweat and Soap. Everybody's been talking about this, so how could I not request it from the library when I'm like, well, let's try a whole bunch of volume 1s. In Sweat and Soap, we're following these two characters who both work for like a cosmetics, skincare type company. And this young lady here she's grown up with this insecurity because she sweats a lot. She was teased and bullied a lot in school for her body odor, so she's very much aware of it. It hasn't gone away. The sweating a lot, so she wears a lot of scented and perfumed products to deal with that issue, and also, stuff to help her not sweat so much. And one day while she's at work checking out the new launch line that was released, this guy comes up behind her and starts sniffing her. And it's weird, but it's manga. Not but it's manga. I feel like manga has this ability that a lot of other genres or formats don't, of including truly ridiculous premises in weird characters that while still making everything seem very plausible and human, I guess. So this guy turns out to be, I think, in R&D or whatever. He works, like I said, in the same company, and he comes up with a new product lines, and he comes across her natural body odor and is immediately drawn to it. Literally, she can't believe it, but he convinces her, and he's like, I need to study you to try to create a product that smells like you and all of this stuff. And then in the midst of that, they start kind of liking each other. And even though he's constantly like, let me smell you, shoving his face in her neck and stuff. From what people have said, their relationship gets more complex, and grounded, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. I thought this was cute and funny, and knowing what the premise is going in, you can decide for yourselves, and I decided I wanted to try it, and I'm glad I did because I enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. So, I'm ready to start my sweat and soap journey, but will this be the first manga series that I jump into, new manga series? Because the next books I want to talk about are a series I'm already well into and will be continuing. That is The Children of the Whales. This is a series I heard about from Becca in the books, and I think with these 3 volumes, I am now up to where she is. This is volume 5. I love these covers, by the way. It's a rainy day, so I had to put on my ring light for this, so y'all ain't getting the true benefit of seeing these covers. Do go online if you can't go to like a store or the library to check them out. That's 6, and this is 7. How do I talk about this series anymore? This is one thing I hate. If I start a dedicated booktube channel, it will be called Spoilers, and I will just talk with all the spoilers. Children of the Whales were following the people of the Mud Whale, who have been on this Mud Whale, which is like a ship, living on it for a couple generations now, and they've seen no other people as they traverse the sea of sand. The thing is, one day they come across another ship similar to theirs, and they've never seen another person, another structure, or anything like that, so they're instantly intrigued. They send some people to check it out, and they find this girl on the ship, so it's just like, whoa, there's another person. The thing is, other than having never seen anyone else, the people of the Mud Whale are interesting. The majority of the people on the Mud Whale are marked in some way, meaning they have like this magical ability, and they also unfortunately do not grow old, so they're all pretty young. They do have elderly, but those people are unmarked. They have no magical ability and they grow old, but no one's seen anyone. And now here's a young lady not from their ship, and who might know something about the rest of the world and how maybe their lives can change. I was vaguely intrigued when I started this, and these 3 definitely upped the ante. So let me talk about them really quick, one by one. Volume 5, we get introduced to new characters, and I was just like, oh my god, why? I don't love the art style in this. It's good, it's not bad, but when they get to showing their magic, because it's in black and white, it gets harder to tell exactly what the hell is going on for me. But that's like the biggest issue I have with this series. However, there are so many people on this Mud Whale, and I feel like the other drawback with the art style is not everybody is so distinct from each other, so I forget names, and I'm thankful that in the beginning of each volume there's a little character study thing with their pictures and a synopsis, because without that I would be completely lost. But sometimes I'm still a little bit lost for a couple of pages. And adding the new characters, I was like, oh, Jesus. This is the aftermath of a battle in volume 4. And so, like, now there's one new character that is gonna start revealing some secrets. And it's like, okay. This one, the secrets are revealed. And I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? Because holy shit, what the fuck? Like, the secrets are revealed, and it's just like, oh, wow, that explains so much. It might not be this one. It might have been 5 where we talked about, where we also get some background about who they were fighting in volume 4 and that situation. Like, but more questions than answers on that. But here we got a lot of questions answered, but new ones asked for me. And then here, volume 7, they start seeing new things on their travels, which is also like, this is a really beautiful world. This is a really beautiful story, and like the backstory, the backstory that the author Abby Media puts out for these is also very interesting. So yeah, for volume 5, I gave it 4 stars. Volume 6, I gave 4.5 stars because hello. And volume 7, I gave 4 stars. I did not read these back to back, but in between with some other books. One that I accidentally returned to the library was another volume 1, and that was Something Is Wrong With Us by Natsumi Ando. Wow. I picked this up because I heard Ashley from Bookish Realm talking about it. Or maybe it was one of Shay's and their live shows, like they were all talking about it. And mentioned like it's like a dark romance in manga form. And I was like, oh well then. I like me some dark romance. So let's see what this is about. I'm not quite getting dark romance vibes yet. Definitely, maybe this will be enemies to lovers. So in this, we're following 2, I guess, Japanese sweets makers. We start out following a young girl whose mother was just accepted into this world famous sweet shop family's employ, and the young girl winds up befriending the little boys, the owner's sons, and everybody, you know, gets along or whatever, until one day the male owner, is found murdered, and the little boy implicates the little girl's mother as the murderer. So obviously from there, her whole life changes. She's not staying with those people anymore. Obviously her mom's not working for them. She has to find her own way in the world, and she does, and she still likes making sweets as a profession, so she goes about doing that. One day, a kind of friend of hers who's getting married to some rich man, and they're planning the wedding, and they want to pick out who's going to do the desserts. So the girl, her friend, invites her as, you know, this competition against someone else. And that someone else turns out to be the young boy who fingered her mother for murder. And his house, his family's business is still very famous in Japan. So they're like going up against each other. The story continues. She winds up in his employ because he doesn't remember her, but his family is going through it. It's kind of dramatic. Like, I don't know how I really 100% feel about this. I gave it 3.5 stars because I am intrigued, but I felt like once she winds up working for him, it gets very dramatic. Yes, like, it's not the murder that's the drama here. Like, I don't understand what's up with this family, why he's acting the way he's acting, why his mom is acting the way she's acting. Like, I don't get it. And it's also kind of ridiculous that they don't recognize her, but that's a small thing. It's possible, obviously. I don't know. I don't know why she decided to work for these people either. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not feeling the dark psychological whatevers that the, you know, reviews have. This is a popular manga. We'll see. I didn't get enough from volume 1 to be like, oh my god. But I'm like lightly intrigued to continue. The next book I finished was a nonfiction that I've been reading for a couple of months as I do with nonfiction. But that is Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This is a popular one right now. This is actually one of my 12 challenge books for the year. And since we're talking about it, I didn't start doing that till March. So my year, because it's read 12 books recommended by 12 friends in 12 months. So my 12 months didn't start till March 2022, so they will go to March 2023, or February 2023, I should say. This might have been my favorite of the 12 so far, and this is definitely top 5 favorite books of the year. I don't even know how to describe this. I'm gonna tell you right now, I gave it 5 stars, but I have never come across a book like this. It's like this mix of a memoir, an herbal or plant book, and I don't know. I love it though. I love how she pairs her personal experiences and, you know, the things that she learns from various indigenous people from her own heritage, but also others, and the plant knowledge scientifically, but also, again, her personal experiences with them, how she relates to them, and how science sees these plants. I'm ready to buy this book. I'm ready to read it again. I half listened to it and half read it, the ebook, and yeah, I'm gonna need a physical copy at some point. But yeah, this was beautiful. This was beautiful. If these are things that you are interested in, this is a beautiful, beautiful book. So next up, I have another series to talk about. I finished, finally, the Lock and Key series by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. I read Volume 4, Keys to the Kingdom, Volume 5, Clockworks, and Volume 6, Alpha and Omega, which is a little thicker than the others. I got these all out from the library. I thoroughly enjoyed this series. This I had picked up because this was, I believe, the October picks for the Realm of Comics book club. And obviously you saw it took me a while. I got really invested in this family and they're going through it, and I need to put it down because I was going through it with them. Again, I kind of read these in between the Children of the Whales volumes and the other books I was mentioning here. So this series is following the Locke family, who has just been through a recent tragedy where the husband, Mr. Locke, husband, and father was tragically killed, shot by a former student of his. Yeah, it's violent. And they move across the country to his old family home, the Key House, where the kids start finding these mysterious keys which unlock magical powers or things. They start playing with them, and things aren't always going so well because there is someone trying to get these keys, an enemy, if you will. But they and their mother do not know the history behind Key House or what the father went through when he was growing up. So things unfold. It was a lot, like I was saying. But I'm glad I finished it. I really enjoyed these. In this one, Keys to the Kingdom, I think this was my least favorite of the series, especially at this point. Volume 1, Welcome to Lovecraft, was, I felt, not enough for me to really be like, I love this. And once we got to Volume 2, I was like, oh, I am in. You got me. But here, I felt like there was too many things going on. So many things going on. They discovered so many new keys in this one, and it was just like, we're jumping around, and I didn't like that. Also, it starts out with a really weird chapter where the art style is completely different, and I was trying to figure out, is this part of the story or what? Trigger warnings for animal death. and animal violence, particularly in this one. Let me tell you, I gave that one a 3.5 stars. For Clockworks, we got back to what I enjoyed. We're focusing mostly on one key and whatnot, but we start getting some backstory about this house and these keys, some historical context, which, woo, 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 woo. What did I give this? 4.5 stars, because I liked that. I liked where these characters were going, and then the way this ended was just heartbreaking. I really, truly thought about not continuing because of the way this ended. I was like, I don't know how. I do not know how. Again, I gotta say, trigger warnings in this series for violence against children. There is a elementary school kid is one, this youngest in of the locked children. The other two are teenagers, but like they all get all kinds of violence done to them. And that does not end here. Other kids, a lot of other kids get violently killed and abused in this one. So, and it's on the page. I didn't love the way this ended. I think it wrapped up a little bit too neatly, but I didn't hate the way this ended. Like, I wasn't devastated, which I feel like is the one thing that I thought wouldn't change did. Like, if it didn't change, I think I would have been devastated. So I gave it 4.5 stars, and I think I also wanted more. I needed more detail for certain things with this series. So that is the Lock and Key series. The next book I want to talk about was another #1 manga. Now this one I read via ebook, and that's okay, right? Yes, it was. I need a little romance in my life. And that was Rose and Blood Volume 1 by Kachiru Izuzui. And this is a vampire romance manga. I love vampires, but I feel like the last 10 years or so have not been giving me the vampires that I like. I don't need them to be bad guys. I'm not in it for the horror, because I don't like horror. But it's been a while since I got some truly sexy vampires. Rose and Blood is giving me what I want. In this series, we're following Stella, who is traveling across the country for some reason or another. She is in a carriage accident outside this gothic mansion, and she wakes up to find herself in a bedroom and having been saved by one of the men who live in this mansion. And as kind of a repayment, she decides to be their maid. I don't know why I could not remember what was going on. They're all really good looking, and she doesn't know it, but they're vampires. The energy is there. The tension is there. I don't know if this is going to become like a reverse harem type of situation or not. I don't think so. I think the main guy who saved her is going to be the love interest, but the others are some pretty good looking guys. They are all very intriguing. The art style is very fan servicey, both on Stella, but also on the guys. Like, their legs are ridiculously long for no reason. They're trying to fight their bloodlust, and she's just la-di-da. I don't know what's going on. What's wrong with everyone? But not quite stupid. And it was what I needed. It was what I wanted. And I'm not complaining at all because I gave it 4 stars. I do want to continue the series. I don't know how much substance there actually is, but I got the substance that I wanted. Nothing has happened. There's just some sexual tension, some UST here. I'm going to talk about one last book here, and that is Silver Silence by Nalini Singh. This is part of the Psy Changeling series by this author, and I'm really trying to put in the work for this series. This is technically book one, or it's not technically, it's book one in the Psy Changeling Trinity series, which is sort of an offshoot from Psy Changeling. I'm not exactly sure why the covers are now different. The cover art is now different, and I like it. But this is post Trinity as far as the storyline goes. But I get the feeling that what's really different is now we're going outside the bounds of the original Pax and Psy humans that we were dealing with mostly in the first, 13 books. And okay, that's fine. Not that they don't appear in this world anymore, it's just we're not focusing on them exclusively anymore. In this, we're following Silver Mercant, who is like the right-hand woman for Caleb Krychek, the most powerful Psy that we know of in this world, and Mercant, a powerful Psy family, the Mercants, and her mate, who happens to be a bear shifter, or a bear changeling, I should say. I'm trying to use the right terms from this series. They're called changelings, and we're in Russia. Silver is somehow poisoned. Valentine, who is the alpha bear of the local bear clan, has been interested in her for quite some time, so he happens to be around when she kind of succumbs to the poison. He gets her to a doctor, whatever, and her grandmother, the matriarch of the Merchant family, is like, you take her to your bear clan where you guys are located to protect her physically while we try to figure out what is going on, because the only people that go into Silver's house who could have poisoned her are family. They trying to figure out who tried to assassinate her on the quiet, on the low, and she's trying to figure out, why am I with these damn bears? It's very interesting. I still love this series. The world is expanding now. There's still this organization that is trying to stop the Trinity thing from happening, which is Psy Changelings and humans actually coming together and working together. They're kind of shady underground habits. There's stuff going on in the wider world, violence and all of that stuff, but there's still the romance. It was interesting seeing the bear changelings and how that's going on, how that works, because we've mostly focused on wolves and leopards in the series up until this point. There's stuff going on with the bears, which I really found interesting, because the changeling groups so far have always come across as very family oriented, very group oriented. Nothing will tear us apart, and that is not quite, that's different here, and the reasons why are very interesting. I hope we come back to that, because I didn't feel like that was solved enough for my satisfaction. I understand that, you know, the situation is up in the air because they don't know. Those who are still around don't know, but I would like to know. There's clearly more to that, so I would like to know. I'd like the chemistry between Silver and Valentine. He's like very playful and she's super serious and all of that stuff. We get some things about silence in here, which was very interesting. I was a little bit disappointed with how that turned out as far as Silver was concerned, because I felt like, again, that wasn't really explained, which I'm not really used to with this series. So maybe that is a plot line that will be picked up later, I hope, because I was like, really, we're just gonna pretend like that's normal? I don't know. And on the human front, we had some interesting, sad developments that I wonder what's gonna go forward with that. I wound up giving this a 4 stars. Definitely putting this series as a focus because I'm like, this is ridiculous. I should not be this behind on the series I love. So let me pick up the pace. I got the next 2 books out of the library already. So that is the last book I will be talking to you about in this particular video. Let me know how your December reading was going. Did you participate in the 25 Days of Manga with Shay? How did you do? Leave me a little Christmas tree emoji. Guys, I got sick in the 2nd week of December, and then my parents got sick just the day before Christmas, which is when they all exchange gifts. And so we had to postpone things until January. So that's why my videos for Vlogmas took forever, because like I didn't have half the month to do anything. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you are new, hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming, and that will be my December 2022 wrap up, I promise you. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.